welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be doing a book review on a book I just read recently. It was a book I did enjoy, but did have a couple of problems with, which I will go over today in my review. I'm going to be giving a summary of the book. I'll go into detail about the characters. I'll do what I liked, what I didn't like, and then give you my overall opinion and thoughts on the book as well as a rating. The book in question is going to be Daisy Darker by Alice Feeney. I have actually read another by this author, Rock, Paper, Scissors, which I have back on my shelf there, and it was just fantastic. That book hooked me from the start. The writing was beautiful, and so of course I wanted to go pick up more of Alice Feeney's books. This is actually the first book I have picked up since reading that book roughly about a year ago. It was offered in the Book of the Month club that I am in, and yeah, so I checked it out. To summarize this book is kind of like a Agatha Christie's and Then There Were None, mixed with kind of like the guest list and so on and so forth. So yes, it has that isolation trope, which I really enjoy. To summarize the book, we start out with Daisy Darker, who is our main protagonist of the story. She is the youngest child of the Darker family, and she is traveling to her Nana's isolated house on the ocean. So like there's kind of like a road that goes out to this house, but once a certain time hits, the high tide comes in and you cannot travel back and forth on this road until morning. Low tide comes in, and the only way to get back and forth is by boat. All the family is invited to Nana's house because it is going to be her 80th birthday. Several years ago, Nana was told by a palm reader or a fortune teller that she would not live past her 80th birthday. So Nana is throwing a big old party, and she is also going to be reading her will. She's a very rich woman because she has sold several children's books or published several children's books, one of them being Daisy Darker's Little Secret. So Daisy has always been her favorite grandchild, and she did name a book after Daisy herself, which of course all the other grandchildren were jealous about, but it is what it is. Daisy travels to the house, and all the other guests, her family members, start pulling in. We have her mother, her father, her sister Lily, her sister Rose, her Nana, and then an old childhood friend named Connor also arrives. But Connor does not arrive until after the reading of the will. But the reading of the will does not go very well. Nana pretty much leaves household items instead of actual money to everybody, and everybody kind of needs the money, so of course they're not happy. This whole scene, like the reading of the will, I don't know why, but Taylor Swift's new song Antihero was playing in my head when I started reading it because it has that whole will scene in it. I don't know, it just cracked me up. Anyway, after the reading of the will, everybody goes to bed upset. But first Connor arrives and they're like, "Why are you here?" He's like, "Well, your Nana invited me. I'm late because I was fighting crime," yada, yada, yada. Which he's a crime journalist or whatever, so he wasn't really fighting crime. But anyway, so he arrives and then they all wind up going to bed. But middle of the night, I don't know, it's probably like 12 o'clock or so. Midnight rolls around and all of a sudden everybody hears a scream downstairs. So everybody comes running out and they find Nana dead on the floor, brains spilling out everywhere, and Trixie, who, oh, I forgot about poor Trixie, my bad. Trixie is the daughter of Lily, who is the middle darker child. Lily had her at 19 years old, so she's roughly about 15 now. Trixie loves Daisy. Daisy and Trixie get along so well, where the rest of the family does not. So they've always had like a close bond. So now, back to Nana. So Trixie finds her dead on the floor. And so everybody comes down. They think it's some freak accident. They think that she fell off a chair and hit her head on the way down. So nobody suspects murder besides Connor. Connor, since he is like a crime journalist, he of course starts to suspect murder first thing. But there's also a weird poem on the board. There's like a chalkboard there, and the poem describes every single person that's there in like basically like death sentencing them. Here, I'll read a part for you. Okay, so here's just kind of like an example of what the poem says. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but this will just give you a good idea. Daisy Darker's family were as dark can be. When one of them died, all of them lied and pretended not to see. Daisy Darker's Nana was the oldest but least wise. The woman's will made them all feel ill, which was why she had to die. Daisy Darker's father lived life dancing to his own tune. His self-centered ways and piano he played danced him to his doom. So there's a good example. So yes, every single thing had like a rhyme, and then what they did in life, and then how they're going to die, basically. So yeah, that was pretty cool. It was, really creepy. And so yes, so they find the Nana at 12, and then every hour after somebody dies. So the family starts getting picked off one by one until you're left with the ending and the big reveal and yada, yada, yada. So that kind of wraps up the summary portion. So now I'm going to dive into each character, tell you what I liked and what I didn't like about him. And then I'll go into what I liked with the story overall and what I didn't like. And then I'll summarize my thoughts. Let's break down the characters. First character we'll talk about is the dad. His name is Frank. Frank married Nancy, a younger age, and Frank directs an orchestra. So he is always out of the country, out of town, away, traveling with the orchestra. And so he was a very absent father. And so later in life, when him and Nancy got divorced, when the kids were still pretty young, it did take a toll on the kids, of course. But he was never really there to begin with. So his character was okay. I'm not going to give too much away about what happens to him, but I honestly didn't form too much of an emotional bond with him. His character was kind of meh to me. Next up, we have Nancy, who is the wife of Frank, or ex-wife, I should say, of Frank. She is the mother of all 3 Darker children, and she named them after plants because she really loves gardening. So she named one Lily, one Rose, and then we have Daisy. Her character, she's a failed actress, and she's just really... I just really didn't like her. And I think she's supposed to come across that way. She's very kind of self-centered, thinking about herself often, and I don't know, she's just very snarky, and I didn't like the way she treated a lot of the other characters, so I wasn't a huge fan of hers either. I wasn't a huge fan of a lot of the characters in this book. There are a few that I did like, but most of them, I was kind of rooting for them to die. I was like, yeah! We'll just go down the line. We have Rose. Rose is the eldest daughter of the 2. Rose, she prefers animals over people. She actually became a veterinarian. She was always book smart, and I actually did like her character a lot, not just because I work in the vet field, but just because she at least felt very fleshed out to me and had more of a personality than just being a jerk to everybody. So I really did like her character. I love her interactions with Nana's dog, Poppins. I mean, it was just so cute. She kept talking to Poppins like Poppins was a real person instead of a dog, and it was just adorable. So I really did like Rose's character. Lily, the middle child. Ugh. Gosh, I did not like her character at all. Lily is very vain, very self-centered. She only cares about herself. She's very rude to her daughter. She's very rude to her parents. She's very rude to her sisters. Yeah, I just did not like Lily at all. I mean, she really needed to be nicer. I mean, even when she was a child, I mean, it would be different if she became a jerk when she got older. But she was rude as a child. She was wishing her sister had died instead of being born. She even whispered to her one time that she wished she had never been born. So Lily was my least favorite character. I did not like her at all. And then we have Daisy. Daisy is the youngest sibling, and she was born broken, as the book says. She has actually, by the time we see her in the book, she has actually died almost 8 times. So she was born with a bad heart, and so any kind of stress, physical activity can cause her to basically have like a heart attack, and she would just die. But thankfully they've been able to bring her back every time. So she had to get pulled out of school, and they had to just basically homeschool her. So she never got to do normal things, unfortunately. She was stuck at home all the time. Then we have Trixie, who is Lily's kid, and Trixie is a very eccentric, she loves to wear pink, and she's just very, very sweet grandchild, or great-grandchild to Nana, daughter to Lily, niece to Daisy. So she's just a very, very sweet child. And her and Daisy have really formed a bond over the years. While the family's not close, these two have kind of kept in touch, and they really, really like each other. And I really did enjoy seeing their relationship. And then we have Connor, who is a childhood friend. Connor was abused as a kid. His dad was an alcoholic. So Connor would often escape over to the Sea Glass and stay with Nana and the Darker sisters. And they all formed a really close bond. Him and Daisy always had a crush on him, but she was so much younger. And then Rose wound up, they became in a relationship. So yeah, Connor was really close with the girls. You can see that even though their relationship has become strained, they still care for one another. Okay, so some things I liked about this book. I really did enjoy the atmosphere in the book. I really liked the isolated location out on the sea. It's a stormy night. I mean, it's just like the perfect setting for a murder mystery. Stormy, isolated, perfection. So yes, I really liked the isolation. The Sea Glass is actually such a beautiful setting itself, and I really liked going through all the rooms, up and down the stairs, going outside and seeing the pretty garden that's there. I mean, it's just a beautiful location for a story, and I really liked that. Another thing I really liked is Alice Feeney's writing style. She has such a way with words and can make like anything mundane sound beautiful. So yeah, I really love how she writes. It's like beautiful prose, but it's not super flowery, so I'm not like turned off or anything by it. I really like it. I'll read you an example. This is page 6, and it says, "Families are like fingerprints. No two are the same, and they tend to leave their mark. The tapestry of my family has always had a few too many loose threads. It was a little frayed around the edges long before I had arrived, and if you look closely enough, you might even spot a few holes." So her writing's just beautiful. She can make the most boring sentence be something so beautiful that I just want to highlight it and quote it. I also really enjoyed Daisy's character. She had gone through so much, and she was such a strong character, and I could empathize for her. And Poppins the dog was also one of my favorite characters because it's a dog. And I really did like Rose as well. Those were my like 3 favorite characters, I think, and Trixie was pretty good character too. I also really enjoyed the mystery. I've seen several reviews that the readers said that they were able to guess the twist. I was not. I was able to guess one twist out of like the 2 or 3 twists that there were. Yeah, I think it was a pretty good mystery. I was left wondering the whole time, who is the one who's doing all these killings? Because like everybody would be in the same room, then mysteriously somebody came back dead or came up dead. So it was a really good mystery. I was, until the end, I was on the edge of my seat for that mystery. Some things I weren't a fan of though, the pace of the book. So while the mystery itself was good, we spend a lot of time in flashbacks because certain scenes or certain things will remind Daisy of what happened here, or there'll be a videotape in the TV playing a video of their childhood, and it brings her back into that scene. So we see a whole lot of flashbacks here describing what happened to the Darkers, and then we'll flash forward and we'll be in the present time and people are dying. So I feel like the flashbacks, while they did add to the story, they were almost like a distraction as well. Like they pulled me away from it at times, unfortunately, because I was ready to find out who the killer was, and instead we're going back to 1980s or whatever, and we're seeing them as kids again. And I don't know, it was a good way to hold on to the characters who had already died. Within those flashbacks, we'd get to see them alive again, but I don't know. It just, the flashbacks weren't my favorite. I really almost wanted to skim the flashbacks and just get back to the present story, besides the last few flashbacks, because those last few flashbacks tell why the family was so estranged with one another. But yeah, the flashbacks were okay. I just really wish there weren't as many of them. And then maybe, just maybe, the story would have moved a little bit faster. Another thing I wasn't the hugest fan of was the characters. I only had a few characters that I liked. but a lot of them did not feel as fleshed out. They kind of felt one-dimensional, especially like Lily and Nancy. I didn't like either one of them really much at all. I mean, I felt like they only cared about themselves, and especially Lily being a child and tormenting her little sister that much. I don't know. I just did not like her characters, and I think that's the way it's supposed to be. But I don't know. I just felt like there could have been at least like maybe one redeeming quality for both of them. I don't know. That's just my opinion though. I mean, you may like that they're evil. So I'm not going to spoil the plot twist. I do want you to read this book and enjoy it if you want to. So yeah, I'm not going to spoil that plot twist for you. But I will let you know what I gave it. I gave this book 3.5 stars. It was, I mean, still pretty good, even with the pacing issues that I had. I still loved the mystery of it, and I did want to keep reading. I kept coming back to the book frequently just so I could get to the end. While I wish some of the characters had been more redeeming, I am willing to accept their flaws as they are and appreciate the book for what it is. So if you like this book, don't forget to check out Rock, Paper, Scissors by this author, or any other books by this author. I have them on my shelf. I just have not read them yet. But anyway, let me know what you thought of this review. Let me know if you agree, if you disagree, or if you have other opinions. Just let me know. As always, thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Until next time.